Hi, welcome to my channel Das Views. In this video, I talk about 5 reasons why I believe India's virus testing rate is satisfactory or even good. We may have heard opinions of many well-known people and read news articles that India has one of the lowest testing rates compared to many countries. Usually, the countries compared are those like the US, the UK, Germany, Spain, Italy, etc. But before analyzing this issue, let us first understand the 4 stages of transmission of this virus in the world. It started with stage 1, which was that of the imported cases. That is, people who travel to virus hit foreign countries and return back to India. The stage 2 was that of local transmission. That is, cases were found in those who came in contact with stage 1 patients. Then followed stage 3, which was community transmission. That is, the virus started spreading in a community or large area or groups. The final stage is that of an epidemic, which many countries are in right now. Here, the disease start taking shape of an epidemic with no clear endpoint. India, like other countries, too has undergone these stages and is currently entering stage 4. India's response in form of testing was that in stage 1, only people with recent travel history were tested for the virus. In stage 2, their family members and people who came in contact with them were tested for the virus. And in stage 3, when local transmission took place, people were symptomatic as well as certain asymptomatic cases have been started testing. As a result, till May 16th, around 21.3 lakh or 2.1 million tests have been undertaken in India. India in fact ranked 7th in total tests done as of that date. This is from a well followed website called World of Meters. Here some people and media have started asking questions such as, is this strategy of India wrong? And is India's testing insufficient? My views on these questions is no. India's strategy is not wrong and India's testing rate is not insufficient. I give 5 reasons in this video why I think so. Coming to my first point, comparison of death rates. In the list of top 7 tested countries, we can find that only India and Russia have total deaths lesser than 3000 in number. If the data is to be believed, US and Russia have done enormous testings and should be lauded for their work. So I exclude them from my analysis. My research will be including European countries like Germany, UK, Italy and Spain. As you can see, the number of deaths in these countries is much higher than that of India. Countries like Spain, Italy and UK have deaths around 30,000 each in number. I believe usually testing is an action based on an effect, that is the loss of lives. The more loss of lives happening in a day, the more the government of that country ramps up its testing. So looking at the number of deaths in the European countries, it was necessary for them to conduct testings at a very high rate. In India, the death rate is around 100 patients a day. Considering this, a testing rate of about 70 to 80,000 a day is not bad at all. The second point is that mass testing needs money to acquire testing kits, human or personal costs and various other costs. Testing also needs time, as the entire testing process takes time. Time is also required for transportation of kits from patients in one city to testing centers in another city. Thirdly, testing also requires resources in form of transportation, skilled medical manpower required for testing and analyzing results, and setting up sufficient testing centers throughout the country. Now, if we compare the top 7 testing countries, there is a stark difference between all of them and India. I think you have got my point. Yes, all the countries are developed nations, while India is a developing nation. Russia is considered developed by some organizations and developing by some. I have taken it as a developed country based on the fact that not long ago it was a superpower and its HDI rating is around 0.81, which is higher than 0.8, which is the base rate for developed nations. We all know that The requirement of money, time, and other resources can be well managed by developed nations than by a developing nation. Hence, India is not faring too badly being a developing nation in this list. For my third point, I compare the size, population, and economies of these European nations with that of India. In terms of size or area, as you can see from this table, India is about 9 times bigger than Germany, 14 times bigger than the UK, 11 times bigger than Italy, and 6 times bigger than Spain. For comparison, Germany's area can be compared to Rajasthan, UK with Uttar Pradesh, Italy with Maharashtra, and Spain with MP and Gujarat combined. In terms of population, India's 1.35 billion population is 16 times larger than Germany, 20 times of the UK, 22 times of Italy, and 29 times of Spain. However, in terms of GDP per capita, that is GDP per person, Germany is 24 times bigger than India, UK is 21 times bigger, Italy is 17 times bigger, and Spain is 14 times bigger than India's GDP per capita of $2010 a year. So my opinion is that in these countries, the more financial resources, smaller size, and smaller population, in fact, helps them to conduct more testings. My fourth point is that India is suffering from a lack of awareness, seriousness, and cooperation from many of its citizens, which is hampering the speed of testings in the country. People in rural areas still have a vague understanding of the virus and its fatal effects. Some people have been seen violating lockdowns due to many reasons. Some are valid, while some are plain mischievous. And also, sadly, reports have stated that many areas have been hostile towards testing personnel and drove them away when the latter arrived at their places for testing. My fifth point is a much subjective one, which one may or may not agree with me. I believe the correct metric to analyze performance is not to see the tests per person or per thousand or million people, but to see the total tests as a whole. This is the problem with statistics. There are numbers and then there is data, but people tweak it as per their own convenience. Naysayers and foreign media have often dubbed India as unsafe for women, considering total RAPE, join the words, numbers. If they conveniently forget that the RAPE per person ratio is very low, in fact much lower than many developed nations. So in that case, they take the overall RAPE numbers, but in this case they don't take overall testing number but tests per person ratio. This is quite confusing. A famous American professor, Aaron Levinstein, once said, "Statistics are like a bikini. What they reveal is interesting, but what they hide is vital." Hence, I believe in this case, it is practical to take the overall testing number than the tests per person ratio. One more point we can consider is that the virus started spreading in other countries in our list from last week of February, and that was when they started mass testing of people. But in India, we started mass testing from third week of March, when the virus shifted up a gear in spreading here. So the European countries had a head start in testing of about 20 days from ours. Hence, their testing numbers may also be higher than ours. So, as a recap to my 5 reasons why I believe India's testing rate is not bad. 1. Our testing is dependent on the fatality rate. Higher fatality rate and higher hospital occupancy rate will lead to higher testing. 2. Comparison of our testing numbers with developed countries is not a wise idea. 3. The high GDP and GDP per capita of European countries combined with their smaller size and population helps them to test more people. 4. Lack of awareness, seriousness of the disease, and lack of cooperation towards health officials is hampering the speed of testing in India. 5. Better metric to judge is the overall testing numbers rather than testing per person or per lakh persons. So these were my views on India's virus testing strategy. Please let me know in the comments what you feel about the same and also about my video. Your suggestions are always welcome. Have a great day.